world of business and sports as well. Prime Minister's visit to the cyclone-affected areas of Odisha and West Bengal, updates on the collective fight against COVID, and these are the main stories for today. But let's start with by taking a look at the big news at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a meeting in Bhubaneswar to review the impact of the cyclone. Also conducts an aerial survey of the cyclone-affected areas of Odisha. The Prime Minister is also visiting West Bengal to hold another review meeting there. Declining trend of new cases continues in the country, with 1.86 lakh cases reported, the lowest in 44 days, and more than 2.59 lakh people have recovered in the last 24 hours. So the cumulative number of vaccine doses to administered in the country has exceeded 20.57 crores. The External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, meets the US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and other top officials of the Biden administration and discusses various global and bilateral issues, including the COVID pandemic, the Indo-Pacific and TRIPS. India has welcomed the WHO-convened global study on the origin of the COVID-19 virus. Well, the Ministry of External Affairs says this is an important first step, and follow-up of WHO report and further studies deserve the understanding and cooperation of all. The Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has won a fourth term in office, winning 95.1% of the votes. The win will extend Assad's rule over the war-torn country for another 7 years. And in sports, 4 Indian women boxers secure their place in the finals of the Asian Boxing Championships, ensuring at least 4 silver medals. The boxer Sakshi Chaudhary loses her final spot in the 54 kg category after her opponent, top seed Kazakh Dina Zolaman, successfully challenges the semi-final victory. So you're watching Midday Prime, and let's begin with the big story. But we are going to be going across to a press conference being addressed by the Union Minister Prakash Javadekar in a short while. But we are going to be going across. But we will continue to, we'll go there just to keep you informed that we are going to go to that press conference. But in the meantime, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during his visit to Odisha, the Prime Minister today held a meeting in Bhubaneswar to review the impact of the cyclone. The Prime Minister also conducted an aerial survey of the cyclone-affected areas of Balasore, Bhadrak and Purba Medinipur of Odisha. So, after attending this review meeting, the Special Relief Commissioner of Odisha, P.K. Jeena, he spoke to the media and said that the Odisha Chief Minister had briefed the Prime Minister about the situation in the state and said that Odisha does not require any assistance in response. Jeena also said that the Odisha Chief Minister told the Prime Minister that the state will take 7 to 8 days to assess the complete damage which has been caused by Cyclone Yas.
Honorable Chief Minister requested that we will not ask for any support on response. Response will be able to manage from our own resources. Immediate relief, response and recovery will be managed from our own resources. We told Honorable Prime Minister that it would take 7-8 days to complete our damage assessment. And once damage assessment is completed, we will be able to know what exactly has happened and how much of fund will be required for response aid, which we will manage from our own internal resources. And we would seek support of Government of India in this process.
Well, Ashutosh Mishra and O.P. Yadav now join us from Bhubaneswar, and Ashutosh and O.P. Yadav. O.P. Yadav is on the ground from the venue where the Prime Minister and had met the officials, and Ashutosh Mishra is joining us also from Bhubaneswar. O.P., you just got us that soundbite of Mr. Jeena. So tell us, what exactly is the outcome of that meeting?
जी प्रधानमंत्री ने आज सुबह 10:55 पे लैंडिंग की बीजू पटनायक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय हवाई अड्डे पर, और यहाँ पे उनकी अगवानी में राज्यपाल और मुख्यमंत्री के साथ जो स्थानीय प्रशासनिक जो राज्य स्तरीय अमला था वो मौजूद था। केंद्रीय मंत्री प्रकाश सारंगी और केंद्रीय मंत्री जो पेट्रोलियम मंत्री हैं धर्मेंद्र प्रधान वो भी मौजूद थे। बैठक में सबसे पहले मुख्यमंत्री ने केंद्र को धन्यवाद दिया प्रधानमंत्री को कि जिस तरह ये रिलीफ केंद्र की तरफ से मदद की गई है और एक्शन ओरिएंटेड वर्क किया गया, जिससे इस आपदा को हमने समय रहते समुचित स्तर पे प्रबंध किया, उससे केंद्र का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और केंद्र ने जो 604 करोड़ रुपए रिलीफ फंड के तौर पर केंद्र को ने राज्य को दिए, उसके लिए भी मुख्यमंत्री ने प्रधानमंत्री का आभार जताया। लेकिन उसके साथ ये कहा कि राज्य यहाँ की जो स्थितियां हैं, यहाँ का जो भौगोलिक और टोपोग्राफिक जो सिचुएशन है, यहाँ पे अक्सर इस तरह की स्थितियां बनती रहती है, चक्रवाती तूफान आते रहते हैं। पिछले 20 सालों में देखे तो तकरीबन 15 से ज्यादा चक्रवाती तूफान अलग अलग सिचुएशन में आते रहे हैं।
Right, we'll have to cut across live now to the press conference being addressed by the Union Minister Prakash Javadekar. Let's move across there now.
उनकी भर्त्सना कर रहा है, क्योंकि टूल किट का स्क्रिप्ट के अनुसार उन्होंने आज प्रधानमंत्री की नौटंकी इस शब्द का उपयोग किया। जब प्रधानमंत्री देश की पूरी जनता के साथ कोविड का सामना कर रहे, तब ये नौटंकी शब्द का उपयोग करते हैं ऐसे प्रयासों का, ये देश का और जनता का अपमान है। एक बताना चाहूंगा, हम उनकी नौटंकी ऐसा शब्द नहीं यूज करेंगे क्योंकि उनकी नौटंकी जनता ने कब की बंद कर दी है। उनका मुख्य मुद्दा था कि वैक्सीन देना ही उपाय है। अरे यही तो पहले दिन से हम कह रहे हैं और प्रयास कर रहे हैं, जिसका आपने उल्लेख किया कि आज वैक्सीन की कैपिटल बन गया है, क्योंकि भारत ने 2 वैक्सीन तैयार करने का काम किया और एक भारत बायोटेक की वैक्सीन कोवैक्सीन, ये तो भारत में ही शोध हुआ जिसका। तो ये जब कोवैक्सीन आई तो कांग्रेस वाले क्या कर रहे थे? उस पर आशंकाएं तैयार कर रहे थे, चैलेंज दे रहे थे, वो नहीं देना चाहिए ऐसा प्रचार कर रहे थे। और कोवैक्सीन के बारे में जनता के मन में एक संशय पैदा करके, और इनके एक साथी ने तो कहा ये मोदी वैक्सीन है। तो ये कांग्रेस की रणनीति है। और लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने खुद कोवैक्सीन इंजेक्शन लेकर ही जब उनका नंबर आया तब उन्होंने शुरुआत की। तो कोवैक्सीन की पूरी चर्चा और जो प्रश्न उपस्थित किए थे वो समाप्त हुए। तो राहुल जी समझ लीजिए कि वैक्सीन का विरोध आपने किया। हमारे प्रयास से, पिछले वर्ष के प्रयास से ये वैक्सीन 2 भारत में इतनी अच्छी मात्रा में तैयार होने लगे। और वैक्सीन के बारे में पिछले सप्ताह पत्रकार वार्ता में स्वास्थ्य विभाग ने दिसंबर तक 216 करोड़ डोसेस यानी 108 करोड़ लोगों का वैक्सीनेशन कैसे होगा इसका पूरा खाका दिया है। कोविशील्ड, कोवैक्सीन, जाइडस कैडिला, नोवावैक्स, जेनोवा, स्पुतनिक, देश में तैयार होने वाले और बाहर से भी जो स्पुतनिक आया है, इन सबका उल्लेख उसमें है। और कितने आएंगे ये भी लिखा है। उसकी टोटल 216 करोड़ होती है राहुल जी। तो ये समझ लेना कि भारत का वैक्सीनेशन 2021 में ही दिसंबर के पहले पूरा होगा। लेकिन आपने जिन विदेशों का उल्लेख किया, वहां भी आज वैक्सीन को जो नंबर लगा रहे हैं उनका सितंबर में, नवंबर में, दिसंबर में आ रहा है। और भारत आज वैक्सीनेशन के मामले में 20 करोड़ वैक्सीन देकर आज दूसरे नंबर पर है। तो सबसे तेज और सबसे ज्यादा वैक्सीनेशन करने वाला दूसरा देश है। तो ये वैक्सीन की सच्चाई है। और भी अगस्त से बहुत इसमें ज्यादा बढ़ोतरी हो रही है, आपको मालूम है। राहुल जी, अगर वैक्सीन की चिंता ही करते हो तो जरा अपने कांग्रेस के राज्यों में ध्यान दो, वहां वैक्सीनेशन में गड़बड़ हो रही है। उनको जो 1 मई से कोटा दिया गया है, 18 से 45 उम्र के लोगों के लिए उत्पादकों से 25% उनके लिए रिजर्व है, वो तो ले नहीं रहे। आज तक ये 20 करोड़ वैक्सीन जो दिए गए हैं वो पूरे केंद्र सरकार ने दिए हैं और वो पूरे मुफ्त दिए हैं। तो ऐसे में आज ये सवाल पैदा करना कि वैक्सीन क्यों नहीं होता, तो वैक्सीन हो रहा है और दिसंबर तक 216 डोसेस लगेंगे। लेकिन आज का आपका बयान देखकर एक पक्की बात हो गई, अब सबूत की जरूरत नहीं, टूल किट आपकी ही निर्मित है, ये साफ हो गई। क्योंकि जिस तरह की भाषा, जिस तरह के तर्क, जिस तरह की आपने भ्रम फैलाने का और लोगों में डर पैदा करने की कोशिश की, वो उसी रणनीति का हिस्सा है। आखिर में मैं एक और कहना चाहता हूं, राहुल जी जरा राजस्थान में जाइए, आए दिन बलात्कार हो रहा है। अभी इसी सप्ताह में एक एम्बुलेंस का उपयोग बलात्कार करने के लिए किया गया। अनेक हॉस्पिटल में वेंटिलेटर, एक हॉस्पिटल में 400 लोग मरे, वेंटिलेटर जहां ठीक तरह से चलाए भी नहीं और खोले भी नहीं। और अभी 2 दिन पहले सबसे गरीब तबका घुमंतु जातिया, उनके झोपड़ियां भी गिराई, झुग्गी झोपड़ी गिराई। एक महिला सांसद रंजिता कोली, उस पर कांग्रेस के गुंडों ने हमला किया और वो बच गई। लेकिन इससे इरादा साफ होता है। और क्यों उस पर खिलाफ ये था, रोष था, क्योंकि वो रोज 12-15 पीएससी में जाकर वहां लोगों की मदद करती है और वहां की स्थिति देखकर सुधार करने का भी प्रयास करती है और सुझाव भी देती है। तो ऐसा काम करने वाले पर हमला होता है, यह राजस्थान की कानून व्यवस्था है। बलात्कार इतने हुए, उसके गुनहगार सभी पकड़े भी नहीं गए, सजा होना तो दूर। और इसलिए राहुल गांधी देश को उपदेश करने के बजाय आप राजस्थान और अपने राज्यों में देखिए। बाकी देश को विश्वास है कि दिसंबर तक 100 करोड़ से भी ज्यादा लोगों को ये मिलेगा, पूरा वैक्सीनेशन कंप्लीट होगा। 3rd वेव, 4th वेव, 5th वेव, ऐसे भयकारी भविष्य, ऐसे हमें समझना चाहिए कि उसके लिए वैक्सीनेशन का भारत सरकार का कार्यक्रम सबसे रोबस्ट है और हम उसी पर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। मुझे आज इतना ही कहना।
मेरा तो
Well, that was Union Minister Prakash Javadekar speaking at the BJP party platform in response to the press conference which was addressed earlier by Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the Congress party, and he was basically stating the position that the government of India has done quite a lot in terms of the vaccination and procuring vaccinations, the vaccines, and also the vaccination administration program that is currently the vaccination drive across the country. Let's go back to our story now on Odisha, and we have Ashutosh Mishra and OP Yadav who are standing by. They've been talking to us. Let me come to you, Ashutosh Mishra. So the meeting is over. The Prime Minister's move is now going to West Bengal. And so tell us, the Chief Minister, Mr. Naveen Patnaik, said that the government of Odisha can handle the response on its own. And he was talking more about 7 to 8 days to assess the overall damage. Put that into context for us.
Yeah, see, the Orissa government, the officials of Orissa government, they presented their case before the Prime Minister.
Yes.
In fact, we showed him an 8-minute video film where state's preparedness, state's response to the cyclone, rehabilitation, relief measures, everything was shown there, and there was also a PowerPoint presentation. As far as the state government has not placed any financial demands before the center in the context of cyclone damage as of now. Chief Minister has also said that since the country is facing a pandemic situation and he doesn't want to stress central coffers at the moment, and the state government will manage the present situation from its own resources. But of course, state government has sought center's support on two major issues because it is seeking a long-term solution to what is happening in the state because of these natural disasters.
Yes.
And these two areas are: one, he has talked about disaster resilient power infrastructure, developing disaster resilient power infrastructure. For example, underground cabling, etc. in the vulnerable coastal areas, because we have a 480-kilometer long coastline, and a cyclone can strike anywhere, anytime. You can't stop them from either building up in the sea or striking the coast, but then state has to be ready. So he has sought center's help on this. And the second thing that he wants center to support the state government on is he wants very strong saline embankments all along the coast. We have saline embankments on the coast, but they are not as strong. And this time also we saw that many of these embankments were breached at places, and because of tidal surges, many villages, seaside villages, were inundated, and then there were heavy rains that led to inundation, and major damage was caused because of this factor. So he wants that center should support the state government in strengthening this particular infrastructure. These two things: one, disaster resilient power infrastructure; second, strengthening of saline embankments all along the coast, because these are two things which are very, very important as far as a long-term solution to natural disasters in Orissa is concerned.
So Ashutosh Mishra, you spoke about the long-term solution, and they seem very practical as well. But we understand that cyclones continue to hit Odisha, and they are quite. The state is quite prepared now. It has seen so many cyclones, especially over the last few years. And the evacuation exercise. I mean, this time 20 lakh people were evacuated. So I suppose this is an area where the state government has some sort of expertise. And now you're looking at a resilient infrastructure for cyclones in the future. This kind of infrastructure that you talk about, has it been? Have prototypes of this already, or blueprints exist?
See, yes, I believe there are blueprints in some parts of the country. And in any case, Prime Minister, for a long time, he has been talking about strengthening infrastructure of all kinds. And especially in these matters, he wants infrastructure to be very, very strong. And what the state is seeking, we are not only seeking financial assistance in this, we are seeking more of technical assistance in this matter. And like you rightly pointed out, Orissa has an expertise in handling natural disasters like cyclones, because we have been facing cyclones for several decades. In 1999, we had a super cyclone, the worst that the century had seen. And after that, we have seen a series of cyclones which have battered the coast, and they have also set back the state's economy very badly. So we have some kind of expertise in that matter. We are always prepared in advance. This time also the state government had made advanced preparations, and it is because of these advanced preparations That casualties were limited to only 3.
Yes.
There were only 3 casualties. That too very unfortunate because the target was 0 casualty.
Yes.
But in 1 to 2 or 3 areas, somewhere a tree fell or something unavoidable. So there were 3 casualties. But casualties were limited, and even the extent of damage has been limited because of this advanced preparation. But
Right.
yes, since we know that these cyclones will be recurring, and now we have cyclones both during pre-monsoon and post-monsoon peak.
Yes.
We'll be facing them. Not only cyclones, now
Okay.
we are facing a flood threat in the wake
Yes.
of the cyclone because it has rained very heavily in most of the coastal districts during the last 60 hours.
Right.
So even a flood threat is there. Even there you have to have strong embankments, otherwise low-lying areas will be inundated immediately.
Absolutely.
So the state naturally has to look at long-term solutions, and that is why it has sought help in that area. Even though the state government people here in Odisha hope that Prime Minister, after making aerial survey here and in West Bengal, he'll be announcing some kind of a package like he did last time. But then
Sure.
these are the areas where the state is really looking for support. And as far as state's own damage is concerned,
Okay.
a detailed assessment will be made in next 1 week. And then maybe they'll be able to give a real picture and present a demand before the center.
Okay, let me go back to OP Yadav now. Om Prakash, you are, your specialization is agriculture, and we know that, a cyclone and a flood can basically derail the whole of the agricultural, the whole system of the farmers. So to what extent, has that been assessed as part of the meetings the review meetings that are taking place?
जी, इस मीटिंग में जो संस्थागत विकास के साथ साथ कृषि और मछुआरों पर भी खासा प्रेजेंटेशन में ध्यान रखा गया कि जो कोस्टल एरियाज है उनमें जो किसान धान की खेती करते हैं और धान की फसल पकने वाली थी, इसमें भारी बारिश और तूफान आने से वो फसल तहस नहस हो गई और कटाई के दौरान ही वो नष्ट हो गई, इसलिए किसानों को बहुत सारा नुकसान हुआ। वहीं दूसरी तरफ कृषि के साथ साथ जो मछुआरा समुदाय है उनकी आर्थिक आजीविका महत्वपूर्ण आधार है, मछली पालन है और बोट चलाकर अपना काम करना और झींगा पालन। लेकिन जब ये 4 से 6 मीटर ऊंची तूफानी लहरें उड़ी और 150 मीटर प्रति घंटा की किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा की रफ्तार से हवाएं चली, तो जो बोट थी वो 1 किलोमीटर दूर समुद्र तटीय इलाकों से आवासीय इलाकों में आके गिर गई बहाव में आके। इसलिए जो ये बोट है 1.25 करोड़ रुपए की एक बनती है, जिनमें 40% 30% बोट खराब हो गई, तो तकरीबन 2 लाख लोग इससे प्रभावित हुए हैं अकेले बालासोर में और करीबन 2000 जो नाविक है उनकी नावें तहस नहस हो गई। इसी तरह से तकरीबन हजारों एकड़ जो धान की खेती का एरिया था वो भी खराब हो गया। पानी से जलमग्न होने से वहां पे भी उनकी स्थिति बहुत खराब हो गई। इसके अलावा बहुत सारे लोग जो झींगा पालन का काम करते हैं तो वो झींगा की खेती करने वाले किसानों को भी खासा नुकसान हुआ, क्योंकि जब तेजी से हवा आई तो बाहर से निकल के और जो पोंड थे उनसे दूसरी जगह चले गए और वो खत्म हो गए। इसलिए बहुत सारा नुकसान किसानों को हुआ है, मछुआरों को हुआ है। इसके अलावा जो फल सब्जी बेचकर अपनी रोजी रोटी और आजीविका चलाते हैं उन लोगों को हुआ है। इस वजह से इस पर भी खासा इस मीटिंग में ध्यान रखा गया कि संस्थागत विकास और तटीय इलाकों के विकास के साथ साथ जो आर्थिक आजीविका सुनिश्चित करने में काम आती है कृषि और पशुपालन के साथ साथ जो मछुआरा समुदाय है उनके तरफ भी ध्यान दिया जाए। तो प्रधानमंत्री की तरफ से यह आश्वासन दिया गया कि पिछले साल इसी कोविड के दौर में प्रधानमंत्री मत्स्य संपदा योजना की शुरुआत की गई थी और उसमें अलग से करोड़ों रुपए का बजट जो एलोकेट किया गया था, उस बजट के जरिए फिर से इन मछुआरा समुदाय की आर्थिक तरक्की और प्रगति की राह सुनिश्चित करने के लिए उसका उपयोग किया जा सकता है। इसके अलावा जो कृषि में भी राष्ट्रीय कृषि विकास योजना चलती है, उसके तहत किसानों को आत्मा परियोजना के तहत किसानों को वित्तीय राशि देकर उनकी भरपाई की जाएगी और इसके अलावा पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि योजना के जरिए भी जो फसल खराब हुई है उसका मुआवजा दिलाने के प्रयास आगे किए जाएंगे और इसको लेकर काफी बड़ी एक्सरसाइज आज की मीटिंग में हुई है।
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Om Prakash Yadav and Ashutosh Mishra for joining us from Bhubaneswar. Moving on then to our next story. Well, the Navy Disaster Relief Team continues relief operations at cyclone-affected areas in Balasore, Pariki village, which is the worst affected due to waterlogging. The HADR Naval Team has operationalized a community kitchen at the multi-purpose cyclone shelter in the village. Meals were prepared and distributed to fishermen colonies. This happened in Budhighadiya, in Nandachak, in Bolbeni. This is for more than 700 personnel. Another naval relief team is expected to proceed to Thalassery to distribute relief material to the affected areas of Thalassery, also of Bhograi, Chandramani and Inchundi villages. So this team has in fact carried out tree cutting and clearance of certain roads. This happened in Balasore. 4 other naval ships, in fact, with relief material have reached the Dhamra anchorage, and they will be providing relief to the people of the Bhadrak district. Now let's move on to our developing story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting West Bengal to assess the situation in the state post the cyclone Ayas, and also massive rescue operations are underway in the devastated areas of Odisha and in West Bengal. The Prime Minister, as we know, will take part in a review meeting. This will happen at Kalaikunda, which in Paschim Medinipur district of West Bengal, in which the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee will be taking part in that meeting. So we are joined by Anibrato, who is joining us from Kalaikundi, and we're also joined by Arun Sharma, who covers the Prime Minister's office for us. Well, Anibrato, let me come to you. So this is an important meeting, but you know, while the political situation often comes to the fore, this is a meeting that is going to discuss largely the situation in the wake of Cyclone Yas. Put that into context for us, you know, the kind of devastation that has been seen there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Mark, Prime Minister is taking right at this point of time aerial survey over the vast areas of the West Midnapur and East Midnapur district that was ravaged by this, severe cyclone Yash. And thereafter, he is to hold a meeting, as a review meeting here at the Kalaikunda Air Base. But the thing is that the Chief Minister won't take part in the review meeting. That she has categorically stated that she has sought 15 minutes time from Prime Minister, and she will hold one-to-one meeting with the Prime Minister. But in no way she will take part in the review meeting. The review meeting will be attended by Governor Jagdeep Dhankar and Leader of Opposition, Subhendu Adhikari, and several other state officials will be there. And the thing is that, as the West Bengal government has estimated nearly 15,000 crore loss of this cyclone year, but it's too early to to estimate all these things, because at least 72 hours time is needed to make a comprehensive study of the detailed loss that taken place here. West Bengal bypassed the direct heat of severe cyclone years, but the several districts that were in the core area of this cyclone were virtually ravaged, and particularly the East Midnapur district and the tourist destination that was in Digha was, was largely hit. And the West Bengal government has estimated that 3 lakh people, 3 lakh houses were damaged, and 134 land embankments that were there tore apart, and the sea water and the river water, entered into the cropping fields, and the large area of the cropping fields were virtually damaged. Trees are falling, electric lines were snapped, and particularly the several establishments were there, and the electric lines. Lines that were snapped in different areas, and the substations of the electric substation that were virtually submerged. And now the army, in accordance with the army, coastal guard and NDRF, they are working in coordination with each other to give relief to the marooned people, and particularly as the Prime Minister yesterday held a high-level meeting and asked the state agencies to provide a secure shelter and to rehabilitate these people as soon as possible. That is largely being done. Mark.
Okay, let me go across to Arun, who's tracks
the Chief Minister in the meeting.
Sure. I'll come back to you, Anibrato. So Arun, the Prime Minister first goes to Odisha, and then he takes the route which and flies to West Bengal, surveying the entire area which has been affected by the cyclone. From the Prime Minister's office, what inputs have you got as to the the overall, basically the purpose of this entire trip, and how, what are the outcomes likely to be?
Absolutely. So we know this fact as of now, Mark, that for more than 1.5 hours now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is taking an intensive and extensive aerial survey. So it's been more than 1.5 hours that Prime Minister is in air and he's taking an aerial survey of Odisha and West Bengal. So that's point number one. Point number two is that we know this fact that a review meeting was held in Odisha, and now a review meeting will be held in West Bengal as well to assess the situation as to what are the post-cyclone impact, primarily the financial or the infrastructure loss that both these two states are having. So how can these two states can be compensated? Number three is that there is a short-term strategy, there is a long-term strategy. In short term, we know this fact that how to control or how to normalize the situation in West Bengal and Odisha is of prime importance, and both center and states are working towards it as to how can, as far as power transmission lines are concerned, telecom lines are concerned, the roads are concerned, how can they be normalized, because a lot of trees have been uprooted and they are on a road, and because this is also causing the blockages on the road. So how can all these things can be ensured that these can be streamlined? So that's number three. Important point is also that, Mark, that now the focus is on long-term solutions, because every year, last year, look at this way, last year because of cyclone Amphan, West Bengal and Odisha were, they faced the heat of this natural calamity or the cyclone, and now this time again, West Bengal and Odisha, they're facing the COVID challenge on one side, so on the other side they're facing the cyclone situation over there in West Bengal and Odisha. So what is the long-term solution? The long-term solution is, of course, the disaster-resilient infrastructure, which primarily was more or less discussed in the review meeting in Odisha, because every year we are witnessing that a cyclone or natural calamity hits these two states, and there is an economic loss to the lives of human lives primarily. So now the focus is as to what can be the long-term strategy as far as building up of disaster-resistant infrastructure is concerned. And last but not the least, it's about the institutions of our country which are into weather forecasting. This time around, it is because of the accurate weather forecasting from the IMD, a pre-deployment, a well pre-planned deployment could be done, and that's the reason why the loss of lives could be ensured, and of course the infrastructure loss that could also be minimized, because the states and center, they both were geared up. So yes, at the end of the day, we can expect a package from the center side, a financial assistance from the center side, but the vision is much more larger as to how can a disaster-resilient infrastructure can be built up as far as states like West Bengal and Odisha is concerned.
So that is the vision very clearly mentioned by Arun Sharma. Let's go back to Anibrato. Anibrato, so what can we expect from the 15-minute meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee?
Yeah, actually, Mark, as you know, the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee yesterday at the State Secretariat Naban in a press conference, he said that the state estimated loss of 15,000 crore, and that she certainly will place this demand before the Prime Minister. Another thing is that a comprehensive line of action is to be drawn. It's needed because in the last year, West Bengal experienced super cyclone Amphan, and this memory is still vivid in the minds of the people. And yet, this year also, West Bengal experienced, even it didn't have the direct hit of this severe cyclone Yash, but it certainly had its effect on it. So how a permanent solution needs to be drawn up. And this time we found that the state had made a comprehensive arrangement, and the utmost objective is to minimize the loss of life and property. That was largely been done because people were largely been evacuated who were largely in the coastal belt and the thatched house in the kacha houses. They were taken to the secure shelter. That's why loss of the human life was not there in West Bengal, but large-scale damage of the both of the property and the cropping fields, that was done. So how this thing can be averted? That a comprehensive line of action needs to be drawn, and I believe that Chief Minister will certainly place this demand before Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Anubrato, as well as Arun Sharma, for joining us with the latest. Moving on then to our next story. As per the India Meteorological Department, the cyclone storm Yas has now weakened into a well-marked low-pressure area, and it's over southern parts of Bihar and adjoining Jharkhand. They warned that of heavy to very heavy rainfall, in fact, over East Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, and also heavy rainfall in the next 24 hours at isolated areas of West Bengal and Sikkim. And the impact of the cyclone was also felt last evening in Bihar, which saw heavy rain. Roads were waterlogged, and this is after heavy downpours were seen in different parts of the state. Various parts of the state are continuing to witness the rain. and also some wind, which is at pretty reasonable speeds. Meanwhile, trees have been uprooted and huts and shanties have also collapsed, obstructing the movement of people in Bihar. Normalcy was affected in East Midnapur district of West Bengal after the cyclone Yas had hit that place. Heavy rainfall was witnessed there that led to waterlogging in various parts of the state of West Bengal. Water had entered into several houses. This is in Kolyahata village. It was a tough time for residents over there. Let's move on to our National Prime segment now. Let's take a look at the statistical data of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare on COVID. So India's daily new COVID-19 cases, so these cases, this figure, it continues to show a declining trend. It has further dipped now to its lowest in the last 44 days. In the last 24 hours, the country registered 1.86 lakh fresh cases of coronavirus. India's active caseload has reduced to 23,43,152. The active cases have decreased since the last peak which we are talking about, which is the 10th of May 2021. A net decline of 76,755 is witnessed in the last 24 hours, and the active cases are now only 8.5% of the country's total positive cases. And as part of the continued decline in the daily new cases, the country has recorded less than 3 lakh daily new cases of the virus for the 12th consecutive day. India's daily recoveries continues to outnumber the new cases, the daily new cases for the 15th consecutive day, and 2,59,459 patients have recovered in the last 24 hours. So definitely there's a clear declining trend. So far, 2,48,93,410 total recoveries across the country, and the recovery rate has also improved to 90.34%. A continued decline in weekly cases, case positivity has been noticed, and the weekly positivity rate also stands at 10.42%. The daily positivity rate stands at 9%, which remains less than 10%, and this is for the 4th consecutive day. So all the indicators and markers are showing a decline, and a total of 20,70,504 tests were conducted in the last 24 hours in the country, and cumulatively now India has conducted 33.9 crore tests thus far. Well, India's largest COVID vaccination drive continues to gain momentum. Over 20 crore 57 lakh doses have been administered so far, and the government of India has so far provided both the free of cost category and the direct state procurement category, and more than 22 crore 46 lakh vaccine doses have been sent to states and union territories through these two categories. So of this, in fact, the total consumption, including wastage, is 20 crore 48 lakh doses, and more than 1.84 crore COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories to be administered. Furthermore, over 3,20,000 vaccine doses are in the pipeline and will be received by the states and union territories within the next 3 days. A total of 20 crore 57 lakh 20,660 vaccine doses have been administered through 29 lakh 38,367 sessions, while 16 crore 18 lakh 50,092 beneficiaries have been vaccinated with the first dose, and 4 crore 38 lakh 70,568 beneficiaries have received the second dose of the vaccine. So as on day 132 of the vaccination drive, which is yesterday we're talking about, a total of 29,19,699 beneficiaries were vaccinated. Bihar, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh have administered more than 10 lakh beneficiaries in the age group of 18 to 44 years. This is, of course, we're talking about the first dose of the vaccine that they've received. Well, India has supported the World Health Organization's global study on the origin of COVID-19. The Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said, and here it is, the WHO convened global study on the origin of the COVID-19 is an important step, a first step. It stressed the need for the next phase studies, as also for further data and studies to reach robust conclusions. The follow-up of the WHO report and further studies deserve the understanding and cooperation of all. That's the Ministry of External Affairs' statement. Abhishek Jha is joining us with more on this. Abhishek, important statement given out by the Ministry of External Affairs there. Let's put this into context, because, you know, the virus has, it's throwing a number of questions up, because it's the second wave, the wave affected people disproportionately in various ways. There are so many unanswered questions as to why so many symptoms affect some people, some symptoms don't affect other people. The virus is definitely behaving in a manner which, conspiracy theories may say so, but it's not behaving in a natural way. So there could be questions raised as to where did this virus come from, and that's the question that, perhaps the WHO study needs to figure out.
Actually, Mark, to put to rest all these conspiracy theories, and every day that we get to see new theories from some newspapers across the globe that this virus was either man-made, it was being made in lab, and then just it escaped beforehand, and then this is how it has spread across the globe. Then there are certain scientific conclusions that this virus has actually been a combination of human and animal genomes, and they have combined in certain way during a period of time, and then this has happened. This happens once in 1,000 years time. So to put to rest all these theories and conspiracy, this investigation is something that is needed. Also, to understand the nature of virus, if it was a man-made virus, then what sort of or some research was going on, and then unfortunately that virus has escaped from any laboratory, then we will certainly have more detailed aspect of virus nature, its pathogenic implications, and accordingly we can prepare for countering the impact of virus and its pandemic level, spread across the globe. If it was a natural occurrence, then also we need to have preparation for further, onslaught of something of this sort, because if this is one virus, we may have some new viruses also going to come in few days or few years time. So to have all those things to counter, to have all those preparation done, WHO and all the scientific community need to have all those researches going on to understand this efficacy of this virus and how to counter it.
So when will the WHO finish with its investigation, Abhishek? Because now, everyone seems to be interested in this question.
Of course, it looks very tedious job, because since everybody is interested, but it will depend how many countries are going to cooperate, because no country would like to share the blame that the virus has originated from its own, because the kind of stigma attached with this virus, no country would like to share the blame. China has been one of the key center of suspicion, because first identification of such cases was happening in China. But ever since, China has always claimed that though identification of first case did happen in Wuhan in China, but the origin of virus was not certainly in China, and it was from somewhere else. So which country is going to take the blame for the virus to have originated? That will always remain tricky situation. Also, in the past, we have seen that China did not give unhindered access to WHO expert and other scientific community to its various labs and various geographies where the virus has been spreading in the very first wave of the corona across the globe. So there will always be suspicion unless until there is an unhindered access to all the facilities to the scientific community of the world across the globe, so that we will be able to have conclusive.
Abhishek, the statement says an important first step. So obviously, the expectations are much more. This is a first step to what? I mean, that's the question, right? I mean, what are we expecting? What's the second step? What's the third step then?
The first step that, okay, every country has agreed upon this thing that there should be an investigation. Where did the virus actually originate? This is the welcome step, and every country, there is the last line also that the MEA statement said that we hope that every country will be cooperating. That suggests that every country will be cooperating, and that actually underlines the fact that there has been apprehension into some countries, specifically China, of not letting scientific community or the experts have unhindered access to various of its labs, its facilities, and other geographical location. Also, there has been theories that there was this virological institute in China where the investigation or where some scientific experiment was going on, and that experiment was being funded by some US government or some US individuals. So whether those investigation or those scientific experiment actually went haywire and this caused this whole pandemic level a situation across the globe, we will be able to know only if every country, including US, China, maybe India also, every country needs to cooperate. Then only we will be able to pinpoint the origin of this virus.
We leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Moving on then, Abhishek. Thank you. Now, so let's move on to our next story then. This is about the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. He has announced that the lockdown will end in a phased manner and the unlockdown will begin. He briefed the media and he said that the unlocking process will begin from Monday 5 a.m. And so he's decided that construction activities and factories will be reopened from Monday because of the daily wage workers. They need their jobs.
अब धीरे धीरे लॉकडाउन खोलने की प्रक्रिया चालू कर रहे हैं। इन दो गतिविधियों को खोला जा रहा है, कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्टिविटीज़ को और फैक्ट्रीज़ को। अब हफ्ता दर हफ्ता हम जनता के सुझावों के आधार के ऊपर और एक्सपर्ट्स की ओपिनियन के आधार पर इसी तरह से धीरे धीरे लॉकडाउन खोलने की प्रक्रिया जारी रखेंगे।
And the Union Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank has approved the proposal to provide monetary assistance of 11.8 crores to students through the direct benefit transfer of cooking cost component of the midday meal scheme. This is to the eligible children as a special welfare measure. This will give a fillip to the midday meal program, and this decision will help safeguard also the nutritional levels of children and aid in protecting their immunity during the challenging pandemic times. So the central government will be providing additional funds. This is about 1,200 crore rupees to the state governments, the union territories also for this purpose. But this one-time special welfare measure of the union government will benefit about 11.8 crore children, and they are studying in classes 1 to 8 in the 11.2 lakh government and government-aided schools across the country. So the government has approved this proposal to provide monetary assistance to 11.8 crore students through DBT. That was the story. Now moving on to our next story then, the major ports are working tirelessly to strengthen India's fight against COVID-19. The Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust handled 3 containers with medical accessories early this morning. And these accessories contained empty oxygen cylinders, which will be filled and later distributed to hospitals for COVID treatment. The Union Minister, Mansukh Mandavia, tweeted, and I quote, JN Port handled a total of 327.632 MT COVID treatment materials till date, unquote. Well, the border guarding forces have a dual task. And on the one hand, they are keeping vigil at the borders, and also they are providing safety for COVID-19. And this is an important priority, in fact, for the men at the border. Simant Praharis, or the border men of BSF, they from the 133 battalion, they are clad in PPE suits as we see here. And they were conducting thermal checks and distributing masks among the locals. The commandant of the 133 battalion, Ashok Kumar, spoke, and he said that the aim of this kind of an exercise is to ascertain any abnormalities among people with regard to their body temperature and to inform the civil administration so that tracing and testing can be done quickly. The personnel are also helping rural populations living in the border areas and giving them whatever help they require regarding COVID.
मेडिकल टीम बना के लोगों का मेडिकल चेकअप कराया गया, जिससे कोई अगर कोरोना इन्फेक्टेड है तो उसको समय से डिटेक्ट किया जाए और उसको सही उपचार प्रदान किया जाए। साथ ही लोगों को सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन करने के लिए और कोरोना से किस तरह से बचा जा सकता है इसके बारे में जागरूक किया गया। हम लोगों ने भी काफ़ी संख्या में नीडी जो लोग थे उनको मास्क बांटे, इलाके को सैनिटाइज किया और लोगों को जागरूक करने के लिए हमने मोबाइल वैन इलाके में घुमाई और जिससे कि लोगों को कोरोना से बचाव के बारे में जागरूक किया जा सके।
The Supreme Court has adjourned the hearing of a plea seeking directions to the Central Board of Secondary Education and the Council for Indian School Certificate Examination to cancel the CBSE, the ICSE, this is the Class 12 examinations we're talking about, till May 31. So the Apex Court has adjourned the hearing for Monday and observed that the government is likely to take a decision on the exams by June 1. The top court has also asked the petitioner to serve the petition copy to the CBSE, ICSE, as well as the centre, and has said that they should be represented by their respective councils. The CBSE, through its letter dated April 14, had cancelled the examination for Class 10, postponing the examination for Class 12. And now it's time for updates from the world of business. And let's go across to Tanvi. She has all the business news. Over to you, Tanvi.
Thank you, Mark. Well, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is chairing the 43rd Goods and Services Tax GST Council meeting via video conferencing. At this moment, the council is meeting for the first time in nearly 8 months. The meeting is being attended by Minister of State for Finance Anurag Thakur, Finance Ministers of States and Union Territories, and senior officers from Union Government and the states are also participating in the meeting. The GST Council's meeting, the first this year, comes at a time when India is reeling under the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic that has derailed the country's economic recovery. Though the Council is required to meet once every quarter, the last meeting was held in October last year. Our correspondent Ajay Mishra joins us for more on this. Ajay, the Finance Minister is holding this meeting under rather difficult circumstances. So tell us, what do you think are the issues likely to dominate in this meeting?
Thanks, Tanvi. So the first agenda of the meeting would be the financial strain on the states and how to help the states in this very, very difficult times is the first agenda point. We know that there is a revenue loss to the states, and they need the money to actually procure the vaccine for the vaccination of their respective states. So that's point number one. Secondly, many of the states want that the GST on the COVID-linked material and the medicines and injections and vaccines should be removed. That's point number two. And third, I think as far as the compliance is concerned, because the taxpayers are also facing the problems because of the lockdown, the council might ponder upon how to give relaxations to the taxpayers in terms of relaxing the deadlines of the GST return filings, reducing the burden of penalties in case of late filings on some of the taxpayers. So I think these are the broad issues around which this committee is currently going on. But the financial constraints of the states and how to comply with that is the core issue.
Right, Ajay. And seeing the increased resource requirements of the government at this time during the pandemic, do we also expect GST being raised on certain luxury items?
So this actually the rate of the GST on any item is being decided by a fitment committee. The council only recommends certain things to the fitment committee. It will have to be seen whether there will be any kind of increase on the sin goods, just like pan masala and gutka and alcohol, things like that, because we have seen the increase of GST on these demerit goods to actually to actually increase the compensation cessity. Secondly, in order to reduce the GST on vaccines and medicines and equipments linked to COVID, again the matter will go to Fitment Committee, and the Fitment Committee will recommend to the GST Council whether it is feasible or not. But yes, this might be some of the options before the Council, and this cannot be denied at this point in time.
Right. Thank you very much, Ajay, for shedding important light on GST Council meeting underway. Moving on. The domestic stock markets rose again on Friday. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange had gained 107 points, or 0.7%, to 15,444 a short while ago. Earlier in the morning, the Nifty had touched an all-time intraday record high of 15,455 before retreating slightly. The Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange had added 320 points, or 0.6%, to 51,435. In the broader market, the BSE Mid-Cap Index had climbed 0.3% and the Small Cap Index had gained 0.2%. The top index gainers are Reliance, Adani Ports, Grasim and Coal India, with gains of between 2.2 and 5.6%. The top index losers so far are Sun Pharma, Mahindra & Mahindra, NTPC and IOC, with losses of between 1.2 and 3.8%. At the forex market, the rupee had strengthened 18 paise against the US dollar in early trade on Friday, tracking positive domestic equities. Later, remaining firm, the rupee had appreciated 19 paise to 72 rupees 40 paise against the dollar in afternoon deals a short while ago. At the multi-commodity exchange, gold had lost 236 rupees to 48,345 rupees per 10 grams. Silver had dropped 623 rupees to 71,096 rupees per kilo. Other key Asian markets also rose as investors bet that the US will lead the world out of the COVID-19 pandemic, with the focus turning to a multi-trillion-dollar spending boost by the Biden administration. So MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan rose 1.1% and hit its highest level this month. Japan's Nikkei index jumped 2.1% and Hong Kong's Hang Seng index climbed 0.6%. But Chinese blue chips declined 0.1%. Over on Wall Street overnight, the Dow Jones Industrial Average had gained 0.4% and the S&P 500 had climbed 0.1%, while the Nasdaq Composite Index had ended flat. The latest US data showed improvement in the labor market, helping bolster expectations of an economic recovery and spurring a minor rotation towards stocks seen as more likely to benefit from the economic rebound. And lastly, shifting our attention to the global energy market, global crude oil were little changed on Friday as firm US economic data and expectations of a strong rebound in the global demand in the third quarter offset concerns about more supply from Iran once sanctions are lifted. So Brent crude oil fell 9 cents or 0.1% to $69.37 a barrel. US crude rose 5 cents or 0.1% to $66.90 a barrel. So with that, it's a wrap in Business Prime for now. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks very much, Tanvi. And let's take a look at what's making news now across the globe. Let's begin with updates on COVID-19 from across the world. So the world continues, as we know, to battle COVID-19, and so far more than 16,96,50,000 people have tested positive for this virus, and the number of recoveries stands at 15,14 lakh globally. The deadly virus has claimed the lives of more than 35,26,000 people worldwide. The United States is the worst hit country. It continues to do so, reporting the maximum number of COVID-19 cases overall. as many as 3,39,99,000 people have tested positive for COVID-19 in the US cumulatively so far, while the cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the country, while more than 6,07,000 people have died from the coronavirus there. We're talking about the US. The World Health Organization's Director General has urged countries to donate vaccines to COVAX, which is the mechanism to inoculate 10% of the populations of the countries by September and 30% by the year end. So addressing the annual ministerial meeting in Geneva, the WHO chief called on vaccine manufacturers to give COVAX the first right of refusal on new volumes of vaccines, or to commit 50% of their volumes to COVAX this year.
The ongoing vaccine crisis is a scandalous inequity that's perpetuating the pandemic. More than 75% of all vaccines have been administered in just 10 countries. There is no diplomatic way to say it. I'm calling on member states to support a massive push to vaccinate at least 10% of the population of every country by September, and a drive to December to achieve our goal of vaccinating at least 30% by the end of the year. This is crucial to stop severe disease and death.
News now from the world of sports. And Ashok briefs us now on the latest from the sports world. Over to you, Ashok.
Thank you, Mark. Let's start Sports Prime with cricket. India and New Zealand will be adjudged joint winner of the inaugural World Test Championship if their final clash in Southampton ends in a draw or a tie. According to the playing condition unveiled by the ICC, a draw or a tie will be both teams crowned as joint winners. The ICC has also allocated a reserve day to make up for any lost time during the regular days of the final. Scheduled to be played from 18 to 22nd June, with 23rd June set aside as the reserve day. Moving to next story, Indian boxer Sakshi Chaudhary in 54 kg category has lost after final spot in the Asian Championship after her rivals top-seeded Kazakh Dina Choloman successfully challenged the narrow victory that the two-time youth world champion had clinched in the last four stages. Sakshi had prevailed 3-2 in the regulation bouts, but the decisions was challenged by the Kazakh team and eventually overturned. The bout review system was introduced by the International Boxing Association in 2019. The team manager of the losing boxer gets 15 minutes after the decision is announced to submit their protest and complete the paperwork for the next 30 minutes. Decisions with scores 5-1 or 4-1 are not reviewable under this system. With this, Indian women's boxer presence in the final has been reduced to 4. Six-time world champion MC Mary Kom, Labusai, Pooja Rani and Anupama entered the finals after winning their winning bout. Of these, Pooja got a walkover after her opponent pulled out. So that's on Sports Prime. Back to Mark. Namaskar.
Thanks very much, Ashok. And let's conclude Midday Prime today. We'll leave you with beautiful art pieces in varied hues, and they are known to lift people's moods. So an art exhibition of beautiful paintings is nothing less than cherry on the cake amid the ongoing COVID pandemic. Post-Impressionist artist Vincent van Gogh's masterpieces are being exhibited at Pier 36 in Manhattan. And let's take a look at this. We'll leave you with these visuals. Thanks for watching, and remember always to mask up. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.